Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa and you are watching the Exploring Oracle, or the Exploracle for short. So if you're new here, what we usually do on this channel is I show you a deck from my personal collection. I show you all of the cards, I tell you what I like and what I don't like about the deck. We talk about the card stock, how it shuffles, and at the end we also choose a card to read and read from the guidebook so you would have an idea of how that guidebook reads. So for today, we have a mass market oracle deck called the Dark Mirror Oracle by Laura Sava. So this is a Los Carabeo deck. This is what the size of the box looks like. And it says this is a spiritual mirror for those who are not yet shining in the light but are still surrounded by darkness. As with most Los Carabeo decks, it does have different languages, so that is also what it looks like in the guidebook. So taking a look at this, so let's move this to the side. Sorry, the light is reflecting on the cards. Hold on. Okay, maybe that's better. So let's start with the guidebook. Like I mentioned, it does come in multiple languages. So for English speakers like me, it's from page 5 to 14.8. And it tells you an introduction of what is a dark mirror, the concepts in the dark mirror. So you have the moon, the grief processing, visual seed, sentence, and going dark. How to read the cards, and also a tip on a more advanced reading. And then you go into the actual cards and you have again the face of the moon, the visual seed, going dark. So that's how it is typically across all of the cards. So it tells you the associated moon face. It describes the card, tells you more about it. So that's the guidebook. Here are the cards. The cardstock is glossy. As you can see, it does reflect the light quite a lot. It's the cardstock is not too thick, it's not too thin. I don't mind it. It's a little on the thinner side, but it feels sturdy enough and it does snap back quite well. It shuffles well also, so I don't have any issues with it. These are the backs and they are reversible if you do choose to read reversals. Okay, and then let's just zoom in and take a closer look at these cards. Now, what I like about these cards, for each card, it does look like you're peeking through a mirror. And yes, it does have the moon faces here, and it's numbered with a keyword at the bottom. And I absolutely love the keywords on this deck. It's quite unique. So like this one is Colorless Angel, Anger and Chains. The art style is quite dark. It's quite gothic. Calling the Storm, Fated to Suffer. So the keywords are really quite unique to this deck. The Child I Was Meant to Be, Naked Before the Stars. And that was initially what drew me to this deck. It's because it's not something that I've seen before in other oracle decks. Alone in the World, Forgetting Oneself. The keywords are really quite powerful. I Won't Cry for You. Wow. And this deck doesn't hesitate to call you out. It's just very direct. Some of the keywords or phrases are a little bit vague, but I think that the guidebook explains it quite well, and you would still get a message, even though the keywords are a bit vague when it's written. No, it's not like sacrifice, it's very direct. But like this one, Artificial Heart. Of course, you can get a message from that as well as from the imagery. But the guidebook is also a good supplement to the messages you will get. Blinded to Pain, Revenge, Today for tomorrow. Peaceful among thorns. Downcast pride. Fragmentation. The temple of my body. Parasite. Bride in a cage. I got this card so many times when I pulled from this deck. Triumph of Lies. Queen of my world. Then you have Addicted. This is one of my favorites. Is This Me? And Masquerade. Okay, so I zoomed out just so we can see how this shuffles, and I don't have any issues shuffling this deck, both riffle shuffling as well as overhand. The deck is quite thin. There's just around 32 cards, so it's a lot thinner than what I usually like in Oracle decks, but again, the messages here are quite potent. They're quite deep, and more doesn't necessarily mean better in this case, and I don't know why. My fingers don't seem to be coordinating well, but yeah, so no issues riffle shuffling this deck. And even with the overhand, it doesn't stick, it doesn't clump, so it just slides easily, so no issues there as well. Alright, so let's just see if we can get a card to read. Oops. So I usually do get jumpers from this deck. Let's just, if not, I'm just going to pick like I usually do when I can't get jumpers, and we will read. Oh, why is my we will read for Blinded to Pain. Okay, so for Blinded to Pain, the moon phase is the waning crescent stage. The grief stage is denial, and it says, I can shoulder it and it's not a big deal, isn't it? Okay, so you can see here that you have here the visual seed, which is like the description of the art, and then the sentence, carving oneself for every stroke of whip and feeling so broken that it makes no difference to the whole. And going dark, so the meaning, T.S. Eliot said, a fly that lives a single day has lived as long as we. Yet, we accept the passage of time more like it didn't matter, like we don't matter. Every day, a single line is added to the pattern. A single fly is added to the wall. We take one more responsibility. We take a little more abuse. We shoulder a little more pain. We smile in front of a little more insolence. We close our eyes to our wounds. We think we can endure it. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, we say to ourselves. Like men, because it's manly to endure and be strong. Like women, because it's feminine to endure and be strong. Like humans, because the care and gentleness we feel is precious to others, and we don't dare to actually claim for ourselves. After all, we can do it, but it actually hurts. It's painful. Tears are better than feeding flies with our own blood. We can scream and say no, or endure nevertheless. But remembering that we are just humans, neither heroes nor saints. Now, honestly, it takes a certain mindset to really get into this deck. I mostly just read for myself, so there are this deck isn't a deck that usually gets a lot of use in my collection, because I'm not always using tarot or going to oracle decks for shadow work or for deep shadow work, which this deck absolutely does well, I think. When I do use it, it does call me out. It does feel like it gives me realizations that I normally wouldn't get if I didn't do that work for myself. But it is deep, and it is something that deserves, or that you have to focus on if you use it. So it's not an everyday kind of deck for me, but it definitely is a special one. I'm not sure if I will be keeping this deck, because I do have other shadow work decks that are more suited with how I read for myself and what I usually do in my practice. But I wanted to share this with you because this deck is just absolutely something else. And yeah. So that has been the flip through of the Dark Mirror Oracle by Riccardo Venetti and Laura Sava. If you find this video helpful, please don't forget to click on the like button, and do consider subscribing to my channel, where I post videos like this at least once a week. I'll see you again next time. Bye!